Scientists say the best chance of finding alien life is on planets just like Earth. That means any planet with water, a breathable atmosphere, and a mild climate. But if we were to go out there, what would we expect to find? Intelligent life. How would it look? Would it even be humanoid, or at least resemble us enough for us to recognize it as being alive and intelligent? Now there are several ancient astronaut theorists who believe that the answer is no. They say the best chance of finding intelligent life is right here on Earth, and the beings who have been visiting this planet for thousands of years are from elsewhere in the universe. Instead, they're from our own future. For example, let's say that time travel will be invented 10,000 years from now. This isn't really that far into the future when compared to the age of our universe. And if time travel was possible, then there would be countless destinations throughout the millennia to choose from. So why would anyone want to go back to the past? Well, because there's always something fascinating about going back and seeing how things began, especially if you were one of the first of your kind to ever do so. And if you're a scientist or researcher, you could gain knowledge that would change everything. In this video, we'll explore some ancient astronaut theories about time travelers among us. Let's begin. Humans come in all shapes and sizes. Just look at babies. They come with different hair colors, skin tones, heights, and even facial features. It seems that within our own species, we have a wide range of biological traits. And if life on other planets is anything like it is here, then it stands to reason that extraterrestrial life would come in all shapes and sizes too. Perhaps that's where some people get their ideas from. Maybe they think that aliens would come in different shapes and sizes, just like us. Or maybe they see beings in different shapes and sizes and assume that they're aliens. Either way, it's often difficult to distinguish these beliefs from reality. Take a look at this strange being, for example. Who is it? Where did it come from? Is it an alien? In some cases, the truth can be stranger than fiction. Take J-Rod, for example. This specimen was found in the desert sands of Southern California by a group of researchers led by microbiologist Dan Burish. Now they say that this particular specimen is actually a real-life alien, only it doesn't come from another world. It comes from our future. According to Burish, J-Rod is actually an insectoid-human hybrid that comes from 200,000 years into the future. The scientist said that his team found the body of this bizarre creature, along with over 24 others during the course of their research. He said that they were able to tell that these beings didn't belong to this world, because they simply didn't fit in. Burish said, it was evident that they weren't birds, reptiles, amphibians or mammals. They were clearly arthropods, but they weren't insects. We knew instantly that there was something unusual. Burish believes that J-Rod is an insectoid that evolved from a human ancestor after some sort of global catastrophe. He says that humans split into two species, one of which eventually became J-Rod. Now, according to Burish, these creatures live in the sewers of New York City. But how did they end up in the deserts of Southern California? Well, that's where the time travel element comes into play. He thinks that J-Rods are time travelers. They evolved in the distant future and somehow developed technology that allowed them to travel back in time and hide in the deserts of the past. Now, some ancient astronaut theorists take this idea even further. They believe that all of the ancient alien sightings throughout history can be attributed to time travelers from the distant future. Let's take a look at the Hopi Indians. For example, this Native American tribe has some very interesting legends that could possibly shed some light on the issue of time travelers. Hopi stories speak of a time when the world was completely underwater. According to legend, a single man and woman survived the worldwide deluge. They emerged from a great flood, only to find themselves in a world that had been completely transformed. But they weren't alone. When they came out of their underground cave, they encountered strange new people who had also survived the flood. The Hopi believed that these new people were the ancestors of modern humans, and although they looked pretty much identical to us, they were a little bit different. Legends say that these first humans had smooth heads and gray skin, which sounds pretty similar to the descriptions of many ancient aliens, and the Hopi aren't the only ones who tell stories like this. The Zuni and Navajo also have legends about a time when the world flooded, and when people emerged from the waters, they brought with them new knowledge. According to Navajo legend, the survivors of the flood emerged out of a large pipe that had been left behind from a world that once was. These legends seem to indicate that there was a time when the world, as we know it today, was completely different. There may have been different people living here. People who did look quite like us, and maybe even people who had come through a pipe from another dimension. Some ancient astronaut theorists speculate that these legends may actually be describing real events that took place before the Great Flood of Noah's time. They say that the Zuni and Navajo may have gotten their stories from even older sources. If that's true, then it's entirely possible that the world has seen its share of strange beings, and some of those beings may have even traveled through time. As far as J-Rod goes, the evidence for its existence is extremely circumstantial. No physical remains have ever been recovered, and no one has ever seen one in person. Burosh and his team captured footprints, which they say belong to J-Roids, but these footprints were never verified by independent experts. Regardless of whether or not J-Roids are real, there's still something interesting about the idea of time travelers. Let's go back to the beginning of this video. Remember when I asked the question, why would someone want to go back in time? Well, aside from curiosity, there's also the desire to remain hidden. If someone was traveling back in time from the future, they wouldn't want to draw too much attention to themselves. After all, they'd be complete strangers in a completely unfamiliar environment. Let us imagine that a person from 200,000 years into the future wanted to learn about the earliest days of humanity. They'd have to blend in and study us. From afar, they'd probably want to monitor our development and perhaps even document our culture. It makes perfect sense to want to hide in the past, and it's easy to understand why some ancient astronaut theorists believe that aliens did exactly that. There have been numerous reports of strange beings that look humanoid, yet somewhat alien-like. Most of these reports come from people who were working in the field of archaeology. For example, in 1974, an archaeologist named Paul Baer was working at the site in Mexico's northern border region. One day he encountered a strange man while walking through the jungle. Baer described this man as being 5 foot tall with long red hair and a green face. Needless to say, this didn't exactly look like a normal human being. Another archaeologist named Ivan Sanderson encountered a strange being in the jungles of Bolivia. This was back in 1968, and Sanderson said that he saw a man with leathery wings and a long tail. There are many more examples of archaeologists and other scientists encountering strange creatures throughout history. Some say that these are time travelers from the future, and that they purposely disguised themselves to fit in. Others say that they simply misremembering what they saw, and that these supposed aliens were actually people who were sick or otherwise afflicted. Of course, if these beings were really time travelers, then they would have done an excellent job at hiding themselves. What do you think? Are these ancient astronaut sightings evidence of time travelers? Do we have anything to worry about? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like these. Thanks for watching.